Hi, how are you? We're back. We're doing it again. We are taking yet another crazy road trip in our cars of the past. We promised you 4 points. We are going to do 4 points, headed from Park City, Utah, where we're based, almost entirely straight north, because we're going to Glacier National Park.
Of all the trips so far, I think this is the one I'm most excited about. We must be gluttons for punishment, or really, we just love doing this. And we're taking sports cars way up high in the mountains.
Because of how much fun we had the last time we did one of these trips and we went east, we decided to stay in that vein. That means roadside attractions, costumes, stupidity. It's gonna all happen while we drive these old cars.
Sitting in traffic, it's easy to forget great driving even exists. And commute cars can be boring.
So we've gone back to the cars that inspired our show, now considered collector's cars that shouldn't be driven.
But we're setting out on 4 epic road trips, one in each direction of the compass, in search of amazing roads and new adventures. The 4 points in the great cars of the past.
We're supposed to have a western edge of the U.S. massive heat wave all week, so I've started with these top covers on instead of the glass fishbowl, which I really like, just to try to keep the heat down. I'm expecting it to be scorching all week.
If you've seen Cars of the Past #2, you remember that I was suffering because the air conditioner on the 40-year-old car had gone out. No surprise there. But thanks to Garrity at Motorsport Inc. in Salt Lake City, he put an entirely brand new air conditioning system, all the seals, everything, compressor, receiver, dryer. It is now so cold in the 928, I've created my own weather system. I'm shocked that it's not snowing inside the car right now. I've decided that whomever is the woman that I marry, I am going to ask her to whisper in my ear and describe all the upgrades and renewed parts that happened to my 928. Your air conditioner blows 36 degrees at the center vent now. Whew. Can't tell me more. Yeah, I gave you new Bilsteins and powder-coated your springs. Baby, it's 3 in the afternoon. What's with all the sexy talk? I thought we were gonna save that for tonight. The pillow talk, I can hear you. It is my wallet wrecker, and I am happy driving it now.
Of course, these old cars have just run, mostly. Well, okay, that's not fair. Paul's car has needed a lot of love. This car's needed a little bit of love. I got shocks the last time, so it's still running really well. The Z has just been a great companion on all of these road trips, but there are a few things that I do have to keep in mind. One is, look at the nose of this car. And think about things like the current BMW lineup, which we describe as having beaver teeth. But those huge grills that are very common on cars right now are because everybody is chasing cooling. Now, every car obviously deals with heat, but this engine is so tightly packed, some mechanics won't even touch this engine. Notice there's no real intakes on the front of this car. Why is everybody doing massive intakes saying we have to do this for cooling if this car can solve it with little slits?
When I got the car, I vowed to not touch the paint, not do anything. I washed the car, of course, but no overdoing it until the car was mechanically sound. And I feel like I'm really close. The last thing that I need to do is the transmission. I need to replace the whole thing because it's 40 years old. I put new Swepco gear oil in there and it's doing good for now, but this car, it is frisky. She's ready to go. So thanks to Griot's Garage, they sent their G9 Orbital and I went nuts with the polish and the best of show wax and pulled a lot of dirt out of the paint. And look at what it did to 40-year-old paint. I think it looks amazing. No, the paint's not perfect, but it's original. Look at Todd Z. He went nuts with the foam cannon. That thing has never looked better. This is what these cars are for, and what matters is that we're out here driving these cars.
In other news, gas has not gone down since our last trip, and these cars, you may remember, require premium, so that's going to be a $5 a gallon adventure every time we stop. I hope, because we're staying in more touristy lanes, that we're going to have 91 gas available most of the way, but we'll have to get some octane booster just in case. Some of you have told us that these road trips have inspired your own road trips, and honestly, that's the best news I could hear, because as we've done them, I've been surprised by how much fun they are, and I hope you're doing them too.
The right side is Wyoming, and the left side is Idaho. We're on the state line here. Look at this. Nobody lives over there. All the ranches and houses are over there. Not sure what that means. All the metaphors come to mind. A ribbon of asphalt, and that is truly, look at this. It's just 2 lanes, fresh blacktop, going towards the mountains. And what's cool is I feel like we have the right 2 cars to do it in. A little report on the air conditioner. It is really cold. Yes, I can turn the temperature back, but I can't turn back the amount of air because of the magic blower syndrome. I'm having the opposite problem now. The AC works so well, I'm freezing. And it's a 95-degree day outside. Oh, and by the way, the speedometer is not working today. Today is not its day. So, good news, everything is normal.
When you travel for long enough on a road trip like this, you're sometimes surprised by the people you meet or the things that happen. And we just had one of those moments I still can't entirely believe. This 300ZX was obviously very popular in its time. There was a racer named Steve Millen that started tuning them. All of Steve Millen's race parts were sold under a company called Stillin. But Steve Millen, he's retired now, and I'm aware of him, but that's pretty much where the story stops. Until today, when this car was parked, we were getting some lunch. I come out to find a guy walking around the car, and he asks me if it's mine, and I say, yeah, that's my 300ZX. And he says, that's not a stock exhaust in the back. And I said, no, it's not. It's a Stillin exhaust. And he looked at me for a minute, and then he extended his hand, and he said, hi, I'm Steve Millen.
Our jaws hit the ground. What? Out here? In the middle of nowhere, Wyoming? Indeed, Steve Millen. And notice Todd's Z-car. You just never know. There's car super freaks everywhere. I love it.
So not only am I driving a car you just don't see around here, but apparently driving this car through this area, I got to meet Steve Millen and talk about Z-cars. That was not on the list of things to do today. It's not a gag. It just happened.
I'm so glad I have air conditioning. It's so worth it right now. But sitting here, you can smell the car. It's running pretty rich right now. Yeah, I just have to keep my foot on the throttle and just keep it going while we're sitting still.
Now, I don't want to lead you astray. I don't want you to think that Paul's 928 is getting really hot and the Z is just shrugging it off and it's no big deal. No, the Z's not happy either. I'm trying to be careful, worry about how hard the air conditioner's blowing, worried about what gear I have it in, because the faster I'm moving in the higher gear, the cooler and happier it is.
So hopefully, if we just keep rolling, and I blip the throttle when we're coming down to a stop, we should be good.
One thing I have learned about the heat in the Z is that it's much happier when it has clean air in front of it. If you're following a large truck or a camper or something that is hot ahead of this car, it carries a bunch more heat and it has much more trouble cooling off. If I can get into a clean lane, even if that means I hang out in the left lane for a while, this car will drop 20 or 30% of its total temperature gauge just because I've got clean air out front.
Wow. Now entering Grand Teton National Park. Look at that. This is what I wanted to see.
There's actually quite a bit of summer tourist traffic going on in the Teton Yellowstone area right now, but of course there's no sports cars. In fact, I haven't seen another sports car at all. But so many sports cars are more usable than you think they are. I think there's something really special about doing a road trip in a great car. And these cars, when they aren't stressing us out, are great cars. Headed into Yellowstone Park now. There will be wildlife. I have little doubt in my mind we will see something just kind of wandering around in the middle of the road, because that's what happens in Yellowstone.
He's going slow. Hello, bison. Well, there you go. You are enormous and unbothered by all of us.
Yellowstone's an interesting national park because most of the stuff you want to see is not close to each other. There's a lot of driving in Yellowstone, more than you might think.
We're still driving around the edge of Yellowstone Lake. It is freaking huge, but we're about to turn off and keep going east to Cody. The car is doing better. Day's cooled down, so it's actually starting to idle a little bit, which is good.
Coming out of the eastern edge of Yellowstone National Park, and we're on fresh blacktop, almost to Cody, Wyoming. We're gonna make it before it's dark. I don't like doing these trips in the dark because I want to see what I'm doing.
Yeah, look at that. Look at this. Oh my gosh. And we passed all the traffic. It's good. Oh, this has been a long day. We're still not to Cody. We still got a ways to go here. But we still have 2 more attractions before we get to Cody.
You may have heard of the Winchester House. You may not have heard of the Smith Mansion just outside Cody, Wyoming.
Yeah, this place is really interesting because it doesn't have any electricity or running water. But the house killed Francis Smith, the guy who built it.
Yes, who kept building it.
Francis Smith constantly built on this house. He used wood that he found in the area, and it went from a simple home for his family to more and more. He built by himself with no final design in his mind.
His wife left and he kept building until 1992 when he fell off an upper story and died while adding on.
But this isn't the only oddity in the area, because a few miles down the road,
Is the Smith Mansion not quite strange enough for you? I can top it. How about a Bob's Big Boy holding a burger, standing in a field in the middle of Wyoming? What is that doing there?
somebody spent time and money and picked the spot and made sure that the view was perfect with the spires behind it, and now the moon is right there. It is very deliberate. Somebody spent money on that, getting it out here and pouring the concrete block.
I can't believe how perfect it is and incredibly strange. I love America. I love America.
Perfect
This
art
is stuff
installation.
we do with empty fields.
Yes.
Car hinge.
Yes.
Field of Dreams. Bob in the middle of it. Just Bob.
This is out front of the Cody Museum. We are here. We're ready to go see the museum.
It's amazing to walk through there and think about how much that one guy and his show shaped the world's impression of what the Wild West was.
How the West was won. He was the guy that proliferated that. And I didn't know how many tours his show went on around the world. Unbelievable amount of shows. Logistics, people. It was incredible to see that. And then the Firearms Museum. What I liked is that they tied it to world events and historical events. It was really great. I'm adding to the collection of keychains. It is a buffalo. His name is Bill, but this is now part of the family. It's going with us on the trip. Keychain, mission accomplished.
We have kind of a common awareness of the Wild West, mostly because of Buffalo Bill. They traveled the globe. Sorry, it's a whole other thing. I will say it was very impressive, and it seems to have made quite an impression on Paul.
I felt only as a man could feel, roaming over the prairies of the far west, well armed, on a fleet and gallant steed, with my friend Annie Oakley by my side.
No.
What?
You can't even keep your mustache and beard on.
You should have gotten a bigger
I'm not doing this.
size.
There's no way this is fitting.
You
I
could have
get the
gotten a
hair
bigger
joke, I
size.
understand, but I'm not doing it. You gave me a skirt to wear.
I brought my good cowboy hat and everything.
It's not about the hat. It's about the stupid
Come
dress that's
on.
never going to fit me or anybody
With all
else,
this
for
effort
God's
that we
sakes.
went
It's a
through?
stupid idea.
Oh
I
my
can't believe we're even
gosh,
doing
sucked
this.
the joy out of everything. I have good news. Bill is riding with me. He's here. I'm very, very happy. Thanks to Cody, thanks to Buffalo Bill. The other thing that happens in the American West all summer long is forest fires. I'm hoping that it just doesn't get too smoky for the scenery, but I can already see a haze as we're going north. There's one particularly large fire over by Boise right now that is really clouding things up.
It was kind of chilly first thing this morning, and it made me wonder if the 300ZX and the 928 have completely divergent personalities, because when it was cold, the 300 didn't really want to run. Meanwhile, Paul's in his car going, the idle's perfect, it's cool now, it's running wonderfully. We'll see how that progresses. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
We are rolling up Beartooth Highway. This is just the beginnings of the twisties, and my temp gauge is shooting up. Altitude plus a lot of heat. I mean, beautiful, but I got to keep rolling right now because this car needs airflow. It's getting gorgeous though. Undiscovered. If you haven't been here, look at this.
These trips are about finding amazing roads we didn't know exist. And this has got to be top 10 in the US. It has to be. It still exceeds my expectations. Of course, it's near nothing, which is why there's not very many people on it. Though we've seen a surprising number of big 18-wheelers hauling things up and down this steep valley, which seems terrifying to me. But in a sports car, it's special. This is a really good road. Top 10 for sure.
This is worth the trip. This road alone, and we haven't even gotten to Glacier yet. It's so far out here, the payoff is worth it. Look at this place.
It just keeps going. We've got a long distance yet on this road. I'm looking at it continuing up through the valley. I'm not complaining. It's just better and more than I expected. That's always nice, isn't it?
Oh, it doesn't matter that we're not driving this road at high speed because the scenery is going to compete for your attention. This is spectacular. And I love that this car's out here doing it. I love that Todd's car's out here doing it.
This has a sense that there's nothing for hundreds of miles. This has a sense that the road will just keep going on forever. I don't know that I've had that experience on a road before.
This road is far enough out here that it feels very distant. Kind of makes you think twice. We're out here. There's nothing. And there's no cell service either. And I think the more remote it gets like this, it feels better because we're having this adventure. We're booking through the middle of nowhere in a place that will far outlast us. It's just you and the scenery.
This is competing with $1 Million Highway for me. I know that's a challenging statement.
I think after the museum in Cody, it's just amazing to think about the pioneers that came through here. Just seems like life was hard then. By comparison, we have it very, very easy. Even in old sports cars, we have it very easy.
This car, when I have it sustained on turbo blasting up the hill, the heat climbs pretty quick and I already get to the top of the gauge. Now, 90 plus degrees, almost 100 degrees on boost. That's a lot to ask of this car, but I'd rather see that needle come back down. We are at 11,000 feet, Beartooth Pass in Wyoming. It is spectacular, but the Z does not like it. Over the last 1,000 feet or so, the temperature has been climbing. I didn't think the needle could get that high. Really concerning. And I wasn't entirely sure at first what it was. We got up here to the altitude sign and I went, oh my gosh, 11,000 feet, that's our problem.
So we've just stopped and pulled over and let the cars breathe for a bit. I mean, look at this. Oh my gosh. Cars having problems, beautiful scenery, amazing road. Pick one. This is insane.
Now we have to get lower because the 928 is having every bit as much of an issue as the Z is. I'm not pushing the car at all, and it's already almost back to as hot as it goes, and we cooled it off for a long time. We just let them sit in the high mountain wind and cool off, and it kind of hasn't mattered. So I'm going to limp my way to lower altitude.
I'm hoping that once we get down at least a few thousand feet that we're going to be good. Because whenever I push the clutch in and the car goes to idle, it just dies. So oxygen sensor or something, even though I replaced that. But, holy cow, I'm not good with heights. Wow.
I'm now faced with the reality of I don't want to damage anything. I don't want to hurt the car. So I'm going crazy slow on a spectacular road. We're going to show you some of it because it's amazing, but I'm alarmed right now, honestly. Nothing's boiled over, nothing's broken, nothing's made any strange sounds or clunks. I've been as careful as I can be. It's just too hot. I'm having my first real old car mid-road trip crisis moment right now. I'm staring at that gauge, willing it down. I'm not gonna wait for a tow truck to ramp me down. And let's be honest, everything from here is supposed to be down. So let's do that, shall we?
We are way up here. It is desolate. Look at that. That is really breathtaking. Truly breathtaking scenery. I knew we were in for it, but I didn't know it'd be this good. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Okay, drop-offs. Me and drop-offs are not good. We're not friends. And there's a mountain goat right in front of me. Look at that. Bill. Meet Billy. What an unbelievable place. It's sort of like the surface of the moon up here. It's very desolate. Nothing. So cool. So worth it. Montana. It's just a sense of accomplishment. That's all it is.
This feels like some bomb diffusion film right now. I keep staring at the gauge, willing it to go down in the same way you stare at the countdown, willing it to stop. It is finally creeping down. Come on, girl. Deep breaths. Let's all calm down. This road is turning out to be the ultimate tease because we can't push these cars like we want on this road. And the road is so deserving, I can't even tell you. You can see down to the part of the road you're about to be on. Watch this. This is bigger than 180 degrees. I'm going to turn in. 180 degrees is coming up. 180 degrees is there. Now we're continuing almost 360 to where the mountain curls back out again. I can't even believe it. I'm getting so teased by this road. It's like having the world's most gorgeous person awaiting you and you're handcuffed to something. I'm not using any throttle. It's just put it in a gear that I can coast in, watch the heat come down, use the brakes. The world's largest soapbox derby racer. Don't know what our altitude is, but there's been a significant drop in the temp. I just heard the coolant overflow tank fizzle a bit. I am now down to normal, average, everyday temps in the car, which is really good. I haven't seen that in quite some time. Now this has me thinking about going to the Sun Road. How high is that road? All right. Doesn't appear that anything's damaged. Everything just got real warm. So a new twist to the story. We haven't had a moment when the car that's letting us down is a 300ZX. It's just hot. So we're going to have to let it sit for a bit, put some coolant in it. Of course, we got to be real careful about that because it was sitting perfect.
Really?
But once it started giving it gas to start accelerating to come after you and all, climbed right back up. I'm currently in Red Lodge, Montana, the world's only air-cooled Nissan 300ZX.
Comment. It's just like
Really, really not supposed to be that way. it appears that all the coolant went somewhere.
Okay, why would your radiator be empty?
I don't know, man.
Where did it go?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I've been driving it plenty. It's never had any issues. It's running perfectly normal temps.
I'm wondering
It's
if
not
we
even
need
going
to
hot.
stop by an auto parts store in the morning
Yes.
at minimum and get some
Yes.
more. Because we should.
There was something that changed. Now, we haven't seen any puddles on the ground. Is this a loose fitting? Was it altitude related? Was it heat related? I don't know right now, so we're gonna have to watch it and see what it does. What thrills me is the fact that the Z is acting back to health now. It's acting like, yeah, let's do another 1,000 miles. When I get back from this trip, I'm gonna have to have a full coolant flush to make it all good coolant and figure out with a pressure test, I guess, where is it going? I don't have an answer right now, but right now she's happy, she's fast, and she's cooled off, because earlier was scary. That was genuinely scary. Me and my air-cooled Nissan, yikes. I feel like some sort of historian and archaeologist trying to pick apart the past and figure out what on earth happened to get all the fluid out of this Z. But as far as this trip's concerned, I'm just going to keep driving. I'm sure many of you are busily writing in the comments right now because you know exactly what happened, man. Okay, armchair quarterbacking is fun, but thank you for watching.
Cars are running good. Todd has coolant now. Things are topped off, and we've got a good day ahead of us, headed up to Glacier.
And yet I'm having that thing. Has this happened to you where because something weird happened with the car, you're like reassessing every noise and feeling as if it's the first time you felt it? And the truth is, the car feels no different than it did before we had the issue. It's just now it's got enough liquid to actually stay cool.
We're in Montana now, and speedometers are important. So I'm usually following Todd just because he's got a speedometer, but the cool thing is it's posted 80 in Montana. You can just get after it. Gorgeous mountain scenery and a good speed limit. This is the way things should be.
After the amazing roads yesterday, we knew we kind of had to connect the dots, but in the process, we get near something called the Lewis and Clark Caverns. It's a fairly big tourist attraction in this area, so we thought we'd stop. But that also got us just thinking about Lewis and Clark in general. Can you imagine the amount of expanse in the West? How many mountains and so much danger and difficulty? And I'm doing it in a car and debating to you whether or not I'm going to make it. And then you think about Lewis and Clark and you go, really?
Are we lost again?
Yep. I got no idea.
While they wouldn't have had GPS navigation or any maps, they were writing the maps as they went. They didn't have the speed of a car or anything like that. They did have the same scenery. I mean, you know, there were fewer Walmarts then, and it was really hard to find a Starbucks. But the mountains and stuff look like it does now.
Well, I got something. It's a figure of some sort, but it kind of felt right. I really think it's just a figure with the Montana sunset on there, but it felt right to add to the collection, so I went with it. Good gift shop, though. The Lewis and Clark Caverns. Even the road going up and coming back out is spectacular.
Of course, the whole point of this trip, all of these trips, is to drive these cars, and cars of any age, let alone ones this old. Stuff goes awry, stuff needs service, stuff doesn't work perfect all the time. But the car holds a special place in its ability to transport you to stuff you'd never see otherwise, but there's a trade-off, and that is now and then it's just not as happy as you'd like it to be.
That's what I love about these trips. We're taking old cars that you shouldn't take on trips like this, right? They should just sit in garages and drive them once in a while for a Cars and Coffee or something like that. But we're putting miles on these cars. I mean, if we didn't have stuff to worry about, like our temp gauges and my transmission and just stuff, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. I also don't think there would be nearly as much of a sense of accomplishment. And that's why I keep bringing this up. If the cars are doing good, we're doing good.
We're climbing again in the heat, and it is revealed that the Z definitely has some sort of recurring coolant issue. I'm a little curious how going to the Sun Road's going to be tomorrow, because obviously there's a lot of elevation gain, and if it's like I expect, we'll probably be sitting in a decent amount of traffic, which means I won't have a whole lot of airflow. So we'll see how all that goes. I just don't know. But on the upside, versus like a horse, you're quite a bit faster and there's no picking up after it. So there's that as well. Trade-offs.
I like driving on roads like this that are off the beaten path. I mean, the freeway is just to the west of us, not that far, and I'd rather be on this road. I'd rather be seeing the mountains and trees and this kind of stuff. This is good. The pavement's good, the stretches are good, corners are good. Look at this corridor of trees. When you hit it at just the right time of day, in the right car, the right weather, the right friends, it's good.
Glacier National Park is known for incredible vistas, but beyond that, it's also known for having one major road that goes through the entire center of it, and that now gets so much traffic they're putting in an extra system beyond just a park pass that reduces the total number of cars per day. So, here we are, working our way toward the west entrance of Glacier and the very famous road called the Going to the Sun Road that goes up and through the park and back down to the other side.
Good news, the car's fired right up. We're rolling. I feel like the front end of my car is a little bit too low. The new shocks have settled out, and it's tough to make turns without scraping at this point. And I just want you to know, I'm going to admit right now, I am scared of heights. I don't like heights. I don't like sheer cliff faces. But the problem is, the other side of me really wants to see the beauty. And so here I am in conflict, driving towards Going to the Sun Road.
Okay, well, I'm sitting still. You want to know why? You want to know why I'm sitting still? I'll show you. I'm sitting still because of that. Because this is entrance into the park traffic. This is what I'm scared of. I'm scared that the whole day is going to be this. So after a frighteningly long entrance line, we are now in Glacier National Park.
And it's just been flat by the lake, and then all of a sudden, I'm really glad there's a stone wall right there. Look at that, you can see the road going all the way. Okay, here we go. Now I'm feeling it.
The scale of it is hard to comprehend until you're right in the middle of all of these peaks and walls, and it's just daunting.
This is spectacular. This is completely worth everything I'm feeling right now. All the fear, the adrenaline. Look at that valley down there. Wow. I think it's scenery like this that makes people want to be creative. I think this is the kind of thing that makes people reset themselves. Oh, here's one of those buses. Vintage bus. Yeah. That guy's got to pay attention. And he's talking the whole time. Here's another one. Why would you want to ride in that thing? No thanks. Not for me. No thank you.
But if you want to look at all, if you want to navigate the traffic, this is not a fast road. It is a epic road. The views are stunning. I'm glad I have these off because it makes this car just kind of total fishbowl. I can see the tops of mountains. It's really impressive.
Oh my gosh. You can actually look over and see the bottom. If you can believe it, we're only about halfway through the Going to the Sun Road. Little stream right there. Look at that.
Okay, it's reality check time. I had heard horror stories about traffic on this road. Now, we're not in the peak of the travel season, so I'm sure there are moments when it's far worse than we've got it right now. You could go faster than we're going. We're being cautious because of the weather, because of the fact it's an unknown road, and the fact that this is not a road to fly down. Even in the best of conditions, you can tell that this is a road for scenery first, hiker parking, family photos, then driving. That's, I think, the lineup.
The fear to beauty ratio, beauty wins. I would rather be on the road and looking at this place. 60-40, somewhere in there? This is spectacular. You have to come here.
As is often the case, the two sides of the ridgeline with Logan Pass at the top, the two sides are quite different. There's some desolation to this side, and the purple rocks are really crazy. Currently driving on what is supposed to be a fairly major highway going south of East Glacier, Montana. This road looks like something that they were just building last week. I mean, this doesn't look like this was ever a serious road. We took this because we thought going to the Sun Road was going to be poor in bad weather. The 300ZX is perfect.
Didn't know we'd encounter this. And I'm sure the construction guys are wondering why on earth you would take a sports car like this through here. I'm not sure what's rattling, but the entire car feels like it's coming apart. You know, it's well built though. 40 years on, this is its second life, third life, ninth life, whatever.
I'm in a sports car, driving through the center of a nasty construction zone in the middle of nowhere, Montana. I have to laugh because this is genuinely awful. This is the last place I would have chosen to take this car if I knew. Paul has to be in hell. He has to be in utter hell.
Oh, I'm bottoming out there. Well, that sucks. Hope I didn't tear an oil pan out or any other priceless item hanging off the bottom of my car. Okay, back to pavement. Think I'm okay. I still got oil pressure. Whew. That was crazy.
I do have to admit that there was a moment while battling the dirt road that I thought, what's this car worth? Should I be doing this? Which I'm not proud to have thought that, but I did think that is the gamble that you take when you do a road trip. If things go fully sideways, you are still in a car. And cars are more durable than we give them credit for a lot of times. Generally, I'm comfortable and happy. Okay, I took a sports car down a dirt road. That's not the end of the world. We planned a whole day to be in Glacier National Park and going to the Sun Road because we wanted to see it at different times of day. We ended up having different kinds of weather. Then we decided to take a detour on the world's dirtiest highway, and now we're back to do it again.
This has got to be one of the best national parks that America has.
I feel like this trip has revealed the fact that miles are sometimes just hard on cars. Time, distance, like all of us, brings out the breakage. But that is its purpose. That is its reason for being. It's not supposed to be something that sits in your garage and looks pristine and you go, I own that.
I love scenery like this. It just makes you want to stare at it for hours. This is inspiring.
When the sun shines in the T-tops and I look up and I see a perfect cloud or a mountain peak out of the top of my sports car while I'm casually driving down a road that's gorgeous, that's a moment I need to cherish. That's a moment I need to remember. That's a moment I also need to revel in when it happens. I'd say we made it north. This looks like the frozen north, doesn't it? Canada's like 50 miles that way. The cars were hard fought on this trip, but we made it.
It feels like the frozen north. We started at almost 100-degree weather, and it's like we're in the mountains now, but we're freezing cold. But what a sense of accomplishment.
Absolutely.
We did it again.
Totally. We've got one trip left. That one's going south later this winter. we're looking forward to that. But right now, I mean, come on, look where we are.
I know.
Returning to Glacier for sunset was the highlight of our trip. This adventure was hard on our cars, but the views more than made up for it.
We did finally get our camera back, but we'll never look at the northern US the same again. Thanks for watching, and share this with someone you know that needs a road trip. And be sure you're subscribed.